Hello, and welcome to Beyond the Deal, where we discuss business, entrepreneurship, and commercial real estate. My name is Lacey Labs, and I'm here with my co-host, Laura Martin. In today's episode, we interview Kim Lee Kenawell, the founder and CEO of Avantra Family Wealth. Kim has spent many years working in wealth management and as an EMS professional, and is often with people on their worst days. Kim values the relationships and trust that she builds with her clients and offers a boutique approach to wealth management. Tune into this episode to hear more about Kim's journey, her EMS experience, and the wealth management insights that she shares. Kim Kenawell, welcome to Beyond the Deal. It's great to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
Yeah, awesome. Let's go ahead and get started just hearing your story, your backstory, how you got started in life, how you ended up in EMS, and yeah.
How I ended up in EMS. So I had this friend in high school who was a volunteer firefighter, and so was the person she was dating. And she thought it might be a fun thing to get more females involved in the sport and introduced me to that local fire company. And I became a member in October of 1991 in my senior year of high school, and then went for my emergency medical technician certification starting in January of 1992. So graduated high school and finished my EMT program just about the same time.
Wow.
So that's how I got started. It's always somebody you know.
Yeah, absolutely. So you were doing this starting in high school.
I started in high school, yes.
And you started in firefighting.
In firefighting first, yes. Yeah. It was intriguing. It was something different. It wasn't something a lot of females did at the time. Many more female, many more women now are in this business. And it's about serving community. It was then, and it certainly is now.
So interesting. I just ran into friends local, and their son started doing firefighting locally in high school and is continuing on. Actually lives at the firehouse right now.
So that's something I never had the pleasure of doing, was living at a firehouse, and that's just fine with me.
So did you plan on doing that full time, or you knew you were going to do something else?
I knew I was going to do something else. I knew I was moving on to college.
Yeah.
But this was a quasi-career path that you could volunteer in. Mm-hmm. And then I began working in EMS and went to college and continued that EMS journey while I was in college. And it was a great way to make money to pay for college while I was home during the summers and breaks.
But you're still doing it, so it's clearly a passion of yours.
Absolutely a passion. I don't think you get into this business without having some passion behind it or some drive behind it. No one's going to wake up one day and say, oh, I think I'd like to do this because I want the challenge. I think that there's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's personal.
It is personal. And it is about giving to community. I do believe that we have a responsibility to give to our communities in some way or fashion, because someday we might need our communities. And if you haven't given of yourself, how can you ask your community to be there for you sometime when you need them? If you stay within yourself and selfish and don't share. So yes, it's a passion, most definitely.
So you did this during college, but you had different plans in life. So you now work in wealth management. So tell us the story. How did we get from this EMS in high school, going to college, today still doing EMS and owning your own wealth management company?
Oh, well, what is it? Robert Frost's poem, The Road Less Traveled, or something like that. Wasn't an English major, so, don't hold me to the person or the poem. But I was on my way to medical school. I started pre-med and really thought that's what I wanted to do. I told everybody that's what I was going to do when I was growing up, and you couldn't make my Korean mother more proud than to think that she was going to have a doctor in the family. Yeah. But, you get to college, you see what that's all about. You have experiences in life that change you. And I was beginning to have those experiences in life that changed me. And I had the responsibility to make decisions about, when I grow up and when I do this life thing, can I afford to do it? Am I putting myself in some financial hole to take 10 to 12 years to go to school. What's that going to look like? And I loved EMS, but I'm not sure that I would have loved an ER or a hospital or a physician setting. But the real concern was, am I going to run out of money? And so in the middle of my first couple of years, I took a sharp left-hand turn and became an economics major. But then decided that for financial reasons, I really needed to come home and reduce my costs. And I finished at Penn State Harrisburg. And at the time, I got a job in a brokerage firm as a sales assistant to what was then called a financial advisor. And I loved the work. I loved the industry. And finished my degree in finance. And the rest, as you say, is history. And began down the path of becoming an advisor myself. So,
and you spent years then working as an advisor in another company.
I did. Yeah. I spent almost 22 years working for a large brokerage firm. And in that, I have no regrets about the 22 years and about how it shaped me and how it taught me to have the skills to do what I do. I had a great partner early on in my career that taught me the things that you're never going to learn in a college textbook, because a lot of this is outside of that academic world, and it's in the people world. And so, you know, having that experience shaped my early career, but then personal circumstances and changes in the industry occurred, and I was focusing more on divorced clients or divorcing clients and widowers than I was on, you know, the breadth of other types of clients that you could earn trust with. And the brokerage model was a great model, but not for the kind of work that I wanted to do. And I saw a very different picture of what I wanted this trajectory to look like for me, and began making changes to move in the direction of independence. And I did it after being on a very successful team, after being, I think, a fairly successful standalone advisor, after managing people and becoming the resident director of that office. It was time to spread my wings and make a greater impact than I felt that I was making there. And so in July of 2017, my team and I lifted out of that brokerage world and went into the independent world. And we opened our RIA in July of 17.
Wow, it's been 8 years already.
It's been 8 years.
Time goes so quickly.
It does. Blood, sweat, and tears, though, in it.
Big decision.
It was a huge decision, and it's a huge leap of faith. And I think the one thing that I had said to you all before was that if I had it to do all over again, I would probably have a therapist on standby 24/7 for what you're about to do. Because not only are you launching a business, I ran a business inside the brokerage model, but it wasn't really my business. You know, it was their business, and I just happened to run my segment of it. But now payroll's on me. Now clients are totally my responsibility. Every piece of technology that the firm has, every, employee that we have, it all rests on my shoulders and in my decision making. So certainly I made wrong decisions, and certainly I made good decisions. And learning to run a business while in the business, while trying to launch out of something that you had previously done, was a very eye-opening experience, if we would say.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say are your key differentiators in the marketplace as a wealth management company, just known as that name? What makes you stand out in the market? What do you do differently?
I think the biggest difference between what I do now and what I did then is the EQ piece, the emotional intelligence piece. This isn't just about checking a box for client goals. This isn't about scoring an asset allocation assessment or a risk profile assessment and dropping a client into some box that was predetermined because of their scores. This is about listening to what the clients are saying and what they're not saying. This is about understanding their money story, the thing that developed very early in their life that makes them make the decisions that they make today, and how those good or bad habits or those good or bad influences really changed their trajectory and their relationship with money. But even beyond EQ, it's understanding that what we do in wealth management isn't just about the money. It's about the person. It's about understanding them in a way even that your physician might not understand you. One of the examples that I give to clients who are considering working with us is that think of me as your physician, and you're going to go into your physician at the time you feel the most ill and the most vulnerable. And you're going to allow your physician to see the good, bad, and the ugly underneath that white sheet. And you're going to go in and discuss the terrible, awful things you're feeling. And when the physician pulls the sheet back, they're going to see the naked truth. Literally, all the good, bad, and the ugly is hanging there, and your vulnerability is out, right? Yeah. And that's how clients need to look at our team. The vulnerable piece is out. The piece that they need help with is out. Someone who's going to understand money stories influence marriages. They influence relationships with children. They influence how we raise our children and what money story we provide to them. How do our families see us? How do our colleagues see us? How do we march forward and develop our careers? It all develops around that money story. And our goal is to truly understand that background and develop a much deeper relationship with a client than just a client advisor. They really are our family, and we take responsibility for them as though they are our family. And the decisions that we help influence in their lives, they're critical decisions. They're tantamount to talking to your physician about something, very personal. And that's the job that we have. That's the thing that our clients come to us for. It's not just check the box. It's understand the person. So that's where I think we start differentiating ourselves from other advisory firms. And I'm proud of that.
Because everybody's needs are different.
Everybody's needs are completely different.
And depending on what stage of life you're in, and you're right, what your money story is,
And not every person that walks into my office is a good fit for our team. And in the same vein, we are not the right fit, and I am not everybody's cup of tea for everybody that walks into that office. And that's okay. But we recognize that from the beginning. And if we need to refer to other advisors that may be a better fit, I have no problem doing that, because my ego is not so big that it thinks that I am the answer or we are the answer for everybody.
I think you have a unique approach just from people I know that have worked with you, like the deep dive when you first meet somebody. I think that's all very unusual in a good way.
Well, from day one meeting with a client, we're asking things that they're not the typical ask, right? When I sit down with a client and say, so tell me a little bit about your parents' health history. Tell me about your grandparents' health history. Are they still with us? Have they passed? What did they pass from? It's not because I'm trying to be nosy, but I want to know what might be in our client's future. Do we have things like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's or dementia that could truly change what their futures are going to look like? Do I have a family that might be full of centenarians and now we have longevity risk that we need to work with? All of that changes what we're going to advise them to do and how we're going to advise them to do it. So it is my job to ask the hard questions. And it's my job to let them come into our office and feel so comfortable that the secrets come out. The things that they don't talk to anybody about come out. And if we're doing that, then we're making a difference. But that means I can do an even better job for a client when I understand those little nuances in their life that make them who they are today.
It sounds like you have a very therapeutic process.
There's no doubt that I probably should have a degree in counseling or in some type of mental or behavioral health, because we really do become that close with clients that we're the first phone call. You know, I might be the first phone call when someone loses a spouse or a decision is being made that they need to get oversight on. And I want a client to feel that close to us, that they're not afraid to pick up the phone morning, noon, or night. They're not afraid to send the text message or the email. Hey, I need help. I need to get your eyes on something. I want your opinion. When they do that, that's when we know that we have done our job and that we've done it well, because they trust us to come to us with those questions and with those decision-making processes. But as you're meeting a client for the first time and you're developing a relationship with a client over years, you're going to hear things that you might not have expected to hear. You're going to have to digest them. You're going to have to offer them advice on how to work around it. You're going to have to tell them it's okay to feel the things that they're feeling. So in many ways, we act as a therapist for them, just listening to their stories. And then we get to work on how it impacts their finances.
It's probably, outside of your health, it's probably the biggest thing.
Of course it is, because nothing happens without your checkbook. Everything in life revolves around, you know, the dollars and cents that you're spending or saving. And how can you provide for your family? How can you provide for yourself? How can you provide for that sandwich generation that's taking care of parents and or grandparents and children and or grandchildren? You might have a multi-directional approach because it's over multi-generations. And you have to understand that. So, yeah, we're different.
Yeah. That depth, though, you know, you're inviting people into a process, not just a decision right away. It's a journey, and it's opportunity to even recreate something or heal something.
Yes. Technology can do so much in our industry. AI can do so much in our industry. But you can't replace good advisors with technology. You know, you need that human touch. You need that piece that's a little more soft when it needs to be and a little harder when it needs to be. And you need an advisor that is resilient to what is happening around, who can make sense of things that are happening around us. Because it's not a political message. It's not a one-sided message. There's a lot of ways to do a certain thing. Let's look at them all. And how do those decisions impact you? How do they make you feel? Where do you feel lost? So, very different.
I guess it's never too early to engage you.
No.
I keep telling my girls who are in their early 20s, the more they save now, the next 10 years, it's so critical.
It is. But they have to understand why. Just like I advise a lot of parents to take out student loans for their children. Make them responsible for a piece of their education. Not that you might not come back and help them with those student loans, But one of the best ways to build credit in a young adult's life is that student loan. So use it to their advantage. Put some responsibility on them for walking a straighter line in college than maybe we would have walked when technology didn't capture so much of what we did. Have them have a relationship with dollars and cents that doesn't scare them, but start teaching them those really good money habits early on. Debt isn't necessarily always bad. Sometimes debt's really good. How do we teach that? How do we teach that different way of thinking? And that's what our firm likes to do. How do we teach the young high schoolers and college-age students whose parents or grandparents may be part of our clientele? How do we foster generational wealth transfer from grandparents to parents to grandchildren? Now I'm in the process of, for some grandchildren, buying their first homes. And that's after college and after student loans were paid off and after credit scores have been, that history has been started. How do we do that? So, yes, I want to run the gamut, run the full spectrum.
Yeah. Do you have a minimum that people have to come into your practice?
I do not. If people need help, we want to be able to help them. And so I don't look at minimums. And mostly people that don't need our services aren't walking through the doors anyway. And that's okay.
So you talked about whenever you made the transition from the big firm and kind of were differentiating yourself, even just you and your team inside of that bigger firm and kind of envisioning, you said you had a vision for what Avantra would be. And I think you mentioned the divorce piece and the widower piece. So I know you spoke with us earlier about collaborative divorce and just different ways of approaching divorce than just a judicial system gives us or court system gives us. So how do you specialize in helping those clients? Because what I've heard you say so far about that is amazing. And it seems like it's a niche of yours that you do uniquely well. And so tell us about that, the process of focusing on a divorce that doesn't rip a family apart.
Divorces are challenging. We all know that. That's common sense. And in this state, you can divorce in 4 ways. You can sit down at the kitchen table with your spouse and work it out. You can both hire attorneys and you can litigate it, which many times leads to court drama. You can hire a mediator to sit between you and mediate a divorce, or you can collaborate. And in the last 2 ways, the mediation and the collaboration, that's where our firm really focuses. Let's not put families into litigation if they truly don't need to be there. Let's negotiate this. So many times we see divorces ending up in a courtroom or in front of a divorce master, and it tends to breed anger, and it tends to breed frustration. And nobody comes out of that process unscathed. Nobody comes out of divorce without having some wounds from that process. How do we have less wounds? And litigating is absolutely the right thing for some people. But some people seek a different way. Some people understand, and what collaborative professionals try to do is let people understand that divorce doesn't have to mean your family is torn apart. Divorce means a husband and a wife or spouses have decided that this just isn't working any longer. But many times there are families, there's children involved. So how do we terminate a marriage but keep our family intact? And that's where collaborative divorce and mediation, kind of the rubber meets the road. Because especially in the collaborative process, we're trying to put the family first. Let's set aside the egos for a hot minute, and let's set aside the anger, and let's try to get to the core of, or the business side of, how do we equitably divide assets? And equitable might not mean equal, but how do we do that? We even use a different language in collaborative divorce. We don't talk about, let's say, spousal support or alimony or child support. We talk about income sharing. How do we share our resources to raise our family, to get to the end goals that we had for our kids, even when we were married? So even changing that language from child custody to parenting plan. I have a parenting plan. I don't have a child custody agreement. Just changing a few words gives a very different context to that process. Defenses come down, and we smooth out some of the rough edges that divorce tends to bring up. But in collaborative divorce, you have professionals that are trained in that process. They may be attorneys. They may be financial professionals. They might be mental health and behavioral health specialists that come in to help everybody through that process. And at many times, all of those professionals are around the table at the same time. Our mental health professional is helping to drive the meeting in a certain direction so that we're not veering out of the left lane or veering out of the right lane and not focusing on the goal at hand for that moment. They're also reading body language of the participants to see when maybe their money story might be influencing how they're absorbing what's happening. Maybe the mental health professional is looking and saying, we need to say this in a different way because somebody isn't understanding fully. That professional may also be in the room as a child mental health specialist who has talked with the children in a family and who may be helping to design that parenting plan for those parents to follow post-divorce. You have a financial neutral in the room, like me, who understands that budgeting process, who can say, okay, when we income share, these are the resources that both parties have. How can we effectively share that to benefit the family for the next number of years? And how do we design a settlement that might not be an in-the-box settlement that you would get from a divorce master or a judge, but how do we effectively cooperate in raising our families? It's just a different way. It's a different approach.
You don't hear of it much.
You don't hear of it much.
Is it pretty successful? If people
For those of us that do it, yes. But it's something, if a client doesn't know that that's an option for them, if they don't understand why the costs may seem a little more expensive in the beginning, but in the end, they might not be, when those are not effectively explained when someone's seeking divorce, they don't even know the process exists.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that every professional out there does a great job of saying, hey, these are your options.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of professionals that do.
Well, and litigating's so expensive. I have a couple friends that none of them had great net worth or wealth. I think they both did like over $100,000 in legal bills, which is crazy.
It is.
Yeah.
And when you think about, and you take a step back and you say, if each party had 6 figures in bills, what could that party have provided for their family if the arguing would have stopped earlier and somebody would have been in the room to say, it doesn't have to be this way? But that's not always the case.
I could see you doing that down the road.
I've never heard that term until Kim used it, collaborative divorce, but it seems like a very powerful option.
It is a very powerful option.
Yeah. There's probably people out there who make more money not using that term, but
I'm sure that there are.
Yeah.
And I don't hold that those professionals have any ill will, right, in doing that. That's just what they know.
Sure, yeah.
But for us, for those of us that specialize in this little niche, we want to change the process for people. Yeah. We've seen the good, bad, and the ugly. I've personally experienced the good, bad, and the ugly, which really was the catalyst to get me into collaborative divorce, because if there was a mistake to have been made, as a co-parent, as a step-parent, as a second spouse. I made them all. And they started with my ego. And had I learned that my ego didn't matter, had I learned early enough to put that aside and do what was right for my family instead of trying to prove a control point, I think my stepchildren would have been different for it. I think the relationship that all of the parents had, the mother and the father and me as a third wheel co-parent, I think it would have been different. And had this process or a process similar to this been something that had been introduced to us, I know that even though it would have taken time, we would have been in a different place much earlier. Instead, it took us a very long time to get on a quasi-same page. It took a lot of time in a therapist chair, right? Because this isn't done without having somebody there to listen to you and to give you guidance. But by the end, we were doing things together. By the end, it was, let's have family holidays. The grandchildren came along, and they need everybody. You know, nobody's going to be raised by themselves or by one parent or the other. And dropping those defenses and putting them first made a huge difference. And so in that journey, I learned that we don't have to do it the ugly way. I just wish I would have learned it a decade earlier than I did. So for me, there's a personal reason why I really believe in collaboration and mediation for divorce, especially for those that are divorcing with children. How do we make sure that they are in the forefront, the kids are placed in front, and they're just not drug behind us, you know, like a can attached to a just married sign, you know, at the back of a car. They're just coming along for the ride. No, if we focus on them, even though our opinions of what that focus should be may be different, I think you have better outcomes. And I think the kids are better for it. And so are the adults. Because you're not hating each other, and you're not criticizing each other, and you're not critiquing, and you realize that you're there for the kids, and if there's an emergency, everybody works together. The feelings are put aside, and everybody works together to clear the emergency. Well, what happens if we were doing that from day one?
Yeah, be interesting to watch that.
It is.
So I have a question back to the wealth management. You know, they used to say, "Oh, I have $1 million." I think I was with you the day we heard like 3.5 to 5 million now. Like, what is the number? I guess you have to come in and just figure it out, right? Everybody's got plans going to be different.
Every plan's going to be different. Every number's going to be different because everybody's going to have different needs and different wants. What does retirement look like? If you know, you're trying to replace all of your wealth, all of your income, and you're trying to increase all of your income, that's going to be different than, oh, my house is paid off, my large expenses like college is paid off. I don't have to live in this big mansion any longer. I can have a much more subtle life. Those numbers are all going to be different for everybody. But having the conversation to recognize, what do you want retirement to look like? And for some, it is not retiring. It's just shifting to a new purpose. It's shifting to a new thing that they want to do. So I wish I could give a number. It would make my job much easier.
Yeah, they used to always have that rule
right?
of thumb.
Yeah. If we could just go by the 4% rule and you pull 4% of your investments as income for the rest of your life, okay, but the story isn't that simple.
Well, I think I just read last week that now full retirement is for Social Security is considered 67.
It is 67.
So that has crept up.
It has crept up. It's crept up from 65. And it wouldn't shock me if it creeps up again. I think in fixing Social Security, there's probably a couple of ways to do that. And they're not going to be popular ways, and they're certainly not going to get politicians reelected, but they're very hard fiscal decisions, economic decisions that have to be made in order to save Social Security. So I would expect that your FRA or your full retirement age probably creeps up beyond 67.
That's depressing. But the funny thing, well, it's not funny at all, but the new thing now they say is new retirement is no retirement. You know, like it's, for a lot of people, they're going to keep working. A lot of friends I have, they work just for the medical and different things like that are really expensive until they hit
Medicare,
age.
65. Yes. But also you have those people that just don't quit. They have defined themselves by their career.
Yes.
Again, their adult money story. And retirement is hard because they should have a therapist with them 24/7 for what you go through as you leave a career that you've dedicated your entire life to, that has defined you, that a title is, you know, the pinnacle of where you're at. And people look up to you and respect you and ask you questions. And on day one of retirement, it just feels like you're on vacation. On day 100, you might be struggling a bit because this is no longer vacation and your phone's not ringing and you're not making decisions every day. So that change, that transition into retirement, it is not as easy as everybody thinks.
And we're all wired so differently.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's true. For some people, they absolutely could retire and they just choose not to. You're right. It's just,
I had a client that retired, I don't know, something like 8 or 10 times.
Wow.
He just needed to go back to work and would do 2 years here and then would retire again. And nope, I'm bored. I'm going to go back and do something, and did another 2-year
like to
stint.
be bored. I don't know what that is.
No, because you're always on the move. But if you weren't on the move with your real estate business, what would that look like for you?
Yeah.
And I don't think it's as easy.
Yeah. It's true.
That's a good point.
It's hard to figure it all out. It's a journey.
That's why you have a person like me to help you figure it out.
Part therapist.
You have hard conversations. And you really have to be truthful with yourself. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, I can do this. Much like I look at people who are widowed or people who are divorcing, look in the mirror and say, I'm a strong person. I'm going to get through this. I'm worth it. We don't, and especially as women, we don't say that to ourselves enough. And as I just recently said to one person, I don't care if you have to write it in red lipstick on your mirror so you're staring at it every day. You are worth it. Until you believe it, you stare at it.
It's the inner work, the inner, facing your own self.
Yes, which is the hard thing.
With your medical piece, do you ever have people that come in and you're like, you really should get that checked out, or you might consider, have you been to the doctor lately?
Yes. The simple answer is yes. We have those conversations.
Gosh.
And once in a while, I might find a medication that I don't know has given the client some side effects that they weren't thinking about that tie something in. And hey, why don't you have a conversation with your PCP about this?
Because I'm seeing something here.
Yes. And so,
It's a helpful little skill to
right? Just a little one. But the fact that I can pronounce a lot of the medications goes a long way too.
Unbelievable.
I can pronounce them and I can spell them.
That's crazy.
So, but as an advisor, don't I have the responsibility when meeting a client who may be a client for decades, who may be on medications that change their personality? Don't I have the responsibility to understand that? And what happens if I'm seeing something in the aging process that causes me concern? Do I have a trusted contact, or do I have a power of attorney that I can make a phone call to say, hey, I saw this person today, and fill in the blank with what's happening, just to make sure that that person is okay.
That's a bonus, in my opinion.
I think
For your
it's
practice.
But I think it's necessary for every advisor. I think every advisor out there should know the basics of, oh, who should I call if something's wrong? Who should I call if I suspect that somebody might have a case of financial elder abuse? What are my responsibilities in that?
And what's the law? I mean, even in my little neighborhood, there's been some strange things where you just kind of shake your head and go like, how is this allowed to happen? People that should not be living in their houses anymore, wandering, trying to get in your house, and it's crazy.
Those are pretty high standards.
It's terrible.
They're pretty high standards.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, we see cases in EMS all the time where we don't believe a patient is safe at home, but, the powers that be are kind of handcuffed in what they can and cannot do.
Yeah.
So it's a very tough needle to thread.
Yeah. It is interesting because I've known of people who have gone in for treatment. If you can't prove you have care at home, they won't even let you go home. Then you have people in their houses that should not be there.
Yes.
It's a
It's kind of a sad state of affairs. And you see people all the time that don't have family, that might be just really alone in this world.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to help them make a decision. They're very sad cases, but they're all over the place.
You see them all the time.
We do see them all the time,
Yeah.
and it's hard. It's hard on emergency services workers because you're going into the same houses sometimes 3 or 4 times in a month or more. You're seeing the same patients. You kind of have a relationship with those patients. And you and I have our ideas of what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
But where our communities can step in and help, or our resources that might be provided by the county or the state can come in and help,
Tough.
those bars are high. And then the financial resources that somebody may or may not have may even limit their choices that much more.
Yeah.
And let's all face it, we all say today, sitting here at our age, well, I'd rather be in my house than be in a facility.
Yeah.
We say that now with clarity
Yeah.
that we might not have when we're another 30 years older.
Yeah.
Our clarity might be a little blurred.
Yeah.
And we might not make the same decision then that we would make now with the information that we have because we've aged.
Yeah. My mom wrote in the margin of her will, I guess after my dad died, but she wrote, and keep alive at all costs. And I mean, and then she ended up getting, unfortunately, dementia. And it but she was pretty spry at 85, but at 89, not so much. Yeah. So it's
and it takes a toll.
change.
It takes a toll on the family.
Yeah.
And our practice encourages people to sit down with their family and go over those documents. Let's have a conversation over your medical directive, that living will. What is it that you want and what is it that you don't want?
Yeah.
And so many of our older generations, of our baby boomers, that is a closely held secret locked under lock and key, that we're going to put in a nuclear safe that nobody can get to because it's nobody's business.
Yeah.
But it really is.
Yeah.
You have to let your families know what your wishes are. Yeah. You have to have those conversations. Do you want pain management? Do you want antibiotics? Do you want sustaining life measures? How do you have you have to have those effective conversations. Yeah. And that's one of the things in my practice, that we have the conversation. We ask every client, what is it? Many times we have the documents. We know who their people are that want, if they can't have the conversation with their family, at least we can say this is what they desired, because we know it, because I make it my business to know it. Because again, I don't think I'm doing the client any justice if I don't understand what the end game is.
Yeah.
So, yep, we get a little nosy, and we get some would say a little intrusive.
Well, that's where the trust comes in.
It is.
And you do have to look at the whole picture. Like,
Yes.
I'm amazed with people I know that don't even have wills or things that I would think would be so basic and aren't that expensive to happen. But they don't know who to call, I think.
That's true. And you really want somebody worth their salt when you're coming up with these estate documents. It's not something that you want to do in a vacuum. But we could go out tomorrow and have a traumatic injury and not be able to make decisions for ourselves. Who's going to make your decisions for you? Who do you trust? And sometimes it's not your children, because you don't want to have them have that burden early in life. But as they age and they mature and, their brains become fully functional at 26 or 27, then those are decisions and conversations that you can have with them, but maybe not beforehand. Every situation is different.
So do you do like a free consult and give people a list of what you want to see?
Oh, absolutely.
Evaluate? Because even I think things as simple as getting life insurance, the younger you get it, it's so much cheaper.
It is.
So if someone's waiting till the 30s, 40s, 50s, it's so expensive. It makes so much more sense to start with you earlier and get the foundation.
Even if you just get a small policy so you're not, you just have something just in case. And you can always add more if you can in the future. But sometimes, yeah, that's a good point, Laura.
And there's strategy to it. There's strategy to when one might want to look into a policy. If there's a family history of something and you suspect that at some point that might be your own history, but you're healthy now, okay, you might not have a family today, but there might be a need in the future.
Right.
Let's take a look at something earlier rather than later where that family history could impact and now you're not insurable.
That's true. You start getting diagnosed with things. Right.
Even with teenage children in families where there's a heavy incidence of something, maybe we want to have that conversation early about your kids and how we might want to ensure their future because we don't know that something might not creep up with them early on. And it's not about this windfall exercise for the parents. It's about protecting your future family or your child's future family in the event they become uninsurable at some time in their life. So it's not just an exercise for a 20 or 30 or 40-year-old. It might be an exercise for an infant, a toddler, or a teenager, depending on what that looks like. So waiting might not be the best response, but as long as I've had the conversation, as long as we've broached the subject matter, then
they're educated about it.
And they can make an educated decision, yay or nay, but we've had the conversation.
And you also do like 401k plans for businesses.
I do. Retirement plans.
Yeah. Not just individual, but you can do it for companies too.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
But I love working with individuals more.
Yeah.
You get to know them on a much different level.
Yeah. Well, my guess is if you have an individual that has a business, it kind of just rolls with it.
Yes. It's a natural step. But the service that we give to the individuals in a retirement plan can't be that much different than the service that we're giving to an individual who's coming in with wealth. It has to be very similar, if not the same. The expectations I have of our team is that it's the same.
I think a lot of people don't think they have enough to even be worth your time. Like, think that, does it make sense to commit? And then you're right, the whole piece of, feeling exposed, but you got to do it.
You have to do it.
Yeah.
You have
Sooner
to
rather than later.
Yes. Yes. The sooner we have much more time to work with.
Yeah.
So in your years of experience doing this, because you've been doing this for a long time.
I have.
You have a lot of years. And I love how much you've shared. I think I have such a understanding of Avantra through you, Kim, and something that your website could never say is all these things you've said today. So thanks for sharing all that.
Absolutely.
In that experience, if someone listening to this is young or looking to start a new career of some form in wealth management, what advice would you give them as they kind of look at this and play with it and get vision for it and start in it? What would you say?
Oh boy, that is a very long book to write.
Sure.
Because you have to start by being selfless. You have to start. I believe that every professional, especially in this business, you owe some of this back to your community. So in searching for, let's say, somebody to come in and do what I would do, are they involved in their community? Is that important to them? Are they getting into this for the right reasons? Do they have EQ? Not just a nice IQ, but do they have that emotional intelligence piece? Can they effectively communicate? And as I've told a lot of college students, it's not another finance class you need. It's a communications class. It's a psychology class, a sociology class. You have to understand that side of the business. I can teach you the academics of finance. I can't teach you how to be empathetic, how to listen, and how to pick out the pieces that the body language is telling you. So that would be critical. Someone coming into this business, it's not about the title. It's not about what your expectation is for work-life balance. Because if you're doing the job the right way, there is no work-life balance. Like, you are in it 24/7 sometimes because you're in it when the client needs you, not just when it fits in your schedule. So I think that the type of person that's going to come into this industry needs to understand it is not an 8:30 to 4:30 or a 9 to 5. It's not a clock in and clock out. It's hard work, it's perseverance, it's resiliency. It's being able to say, I don't know, or I made a mistake. It's about being humble. And I think that's a tough thing to find right now. I think we're kind of at a tipping point in our communities and in society in general. And so I guess I'm part of the old guard, as I am not the new guard. And I see things very differently.
Well, I would think, too, in your industry that the barrier to entry is pretty high.
Yes.
Because you have to have all of this, I don't even know, all these series and all this education and testing and
yes, and
to find people, because it's not like you come. I think the barrier in our industry is a little high too. You know, you don't come in with a salary.
No, and anybody can say, I'm a financial advisor. Well, what exactly does that mean?
Yeah.
Tell me what it's about. Some people can't even define it. I am a big proponent of education, and not just my first degree or my second degree or the certifications, but you are constantly educating and re-educating yourself in all aspects of the industry. It doesn't just stop when you put the cap and gown on and work, do your first walk. This is a continuing education process. And I know there are a lot of advisors out there that wouldn't even meet that standard and probably shouldn't be advisors. You really have to dig into the pedigree of somebody. Not that the paper on the wall is the all be end all, but in this industry, it's really important. So I hang my hat a little higher on that.
Yeah.
You have a big impact on people's lives. They're trusting you to say something that's been put in the right direction.
Yeah. And, it's kind of where my emergency services work and my wealth management practice meet in the middle is the intersection of stuff happens, right? Bad things happen. And when clients need you the most is when bad things happen. They need to be able to pick up the phone. They need to be able to have that emergency conversation. And you need to stay calm and not panic. And you need to understand that there's a level of trauma that comes with that emergency that the client is experiencing. And because of the community work I do, because of the emergency services work I do, and the critical incident work I do, I understand that fundamentally a little differently than maybe a next generation advisor would. So how do I teach that experience to somebody? That's a little difficult. I'm not telling them to go have my experience. I want them to have their own experiences. But for me, it gives me a very different purview of what a client might be going through and what they need to hear next, because it's different for everybody. So, yeah, welcome to my walk.
If I have a problem, I'm calling you.
Well, Kim, we're coming to the end of our time, and I have a closer question. We ask everybody the same one, so I'd love to finish it with it. If you could go back and start your career over again, so go back to being 18 or 20 or 22, but keep all this knowledge and experience and life perspective that you've gained over the years, what's something you would do differently?
The honest answer to that question is that I would have changed the way I parented. I would have changed, knowing what I know today, the biggest change that I could have made in my life is to be a better co-parent the first time around. Because that would have been a game changer for everything and everything that linked to it. But having the experiences that I did make me a better 50-something than I was at 20 or 30-something. So I can't say that it was all bad because it's led me to this path. But it's not the career that I would have changed. It's not my emergency services background or the work that I do, in my volunteer life. But it's changing and being a better co-parent and a better step-parent to that family. And I think that would have made a huge difference and a huge impact in ways that I can't even begin to explain today.
But you can help others.
Which is why I do what I do.
Yeah.
Which is why I've chosen the path that I've chosen.
Because I always tell my kids, some of their memories I would disagree with, but I always say that, I did the best I could with what I had at the time. I mean, it wasn't, my intentions were good. My heart was good.
Yes.
Wasn't perfect. I'm not going to be perfect.
No, I am never going to be perfect.
We have to forgive ourselves.
Always going to be working on me. Yeah. Every day I get up and I say, how can I do it better? How can I be a better me? Not that I'm not emotionally impacted by things, not that life is running perfect. And I'm lucky I got a second chance to have a new life. Yeah. Post-divorce, my own divorce, I got another chance to be a better me, be a better spouse, be a better step-parent. And that's my focus. How do I do that and be better and have better outcomes for my family, whether it's my previous, not my previous, but my stepchildren from my first marriage, whether it's my own daughter, or my stepchildren from this marriage, and the grandchildren in between all of them, right? I got a chance to do what some don't, and I got a chance to do this again.
Yeah.
And to do it with a smile on my face, to be happy and not frustrated all the time.
Yeah.
I got a do-over.
And I think you're very present.
I try to be. There are moments I'd like to turn it off, like at 3 a.m. when my witching hour happens and I'm just straight awake.
Yeah.
I'd like
just
to turn it off.
Just call me because I'm usually awake too.
I'd like to turn it off for a hot minute.
Yeah.
But I really do try to walk the walk that I'm asking clients to walk. And I really do try to do it better every day.
That's being authentic.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's being realistic. You don't get out of this life alive, so you might as well do your best while you're here.
Yeah.
Make a positive impact instead of a negative impact.
Yeah.
One of the things I've always told my own daughter is, how could you have done something different that would have made you feel better? How did you impact somebody else? Because they might have been having the worst day of their life and you didn't know it and you just added to it. Sometimes it's about our impact on other people just as much as it's about impact on ourselves. So take a moment when you're having that minute at the local store and somebody's really annoying you, and take a hot minute and say, maybe they're having the worst moment of their life and I can be kind to them.
Yeah.
Maybe my smile is the thing that for a second makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Maybe that hand up and not hand out is what they needed. But it's the small things in life that I think we have to have perspective on. And I challenge her to do that. And I know it makes her a little angry from time to time.
Yeah.
But it's the same standard I have for myself. Before I get angry at that really slow driver in front of me, is there a reason for it?
As we're hitting the horn.
Please tell me there's a reason for it, and I'm gonna get where I'm going safely. Might be a little late, but I'm gonna get where I'm going safely, and I'm gonna give that person some grace. Yeah. So I think we go through life giving people grace.
We try.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Kim, thank you so much.
Very
for being with
welcome.
us this
Thank
morning.
you.
Really appreciate your insights and you sharing your story.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Anytime. Thank you.
Yeah. It's a pleasure to walk through life with you.
Side by side, Laura.
That's right.
That was Kim Lee Kenawell sharing her insights on wealth management and business ownership. For more information on Kim, Avantra Family Wealth, or to learn more about SVN Latus, click the links in the show notes. Thanks for listening to Beyond the Deal.